Okay, and it says we're live, Laurie. Hi, everybody. It is, Laurie and I's first show, hopefully, maybe of many, where we get together, hang out with our fellow chatters, and do some interactive art making together. And Lori had said, well, my guys were thinking about maybe if people gave us prompts or maybe words, colors, we can kind of incorporate that. So it's like an interactive with our audience. And I thought, well, I'm down for that. Of course, made me a little nervous because it's something I've never done before. But you know what? You got to grow. You got to get out of your comfort zone. So Lori's getting me out of my comfort zone. And so with each show that we would like to do in the future, kind of focus on one particular artist that we can take from and maybe also emulate a bit with our style and with what everybody in chat shares. And so, of course, with it being summer and flowers blooming and everything, and I couldn't help but make Georgia O'Keeffe our first one. So thank you, Laurie, for doing this with me.
You, me, and Georgia.
Me, you, and Georgia. And we have Magus here. Hello, Magus.
Hey, Magus.
Love to you, my wonderful friend. Same to you. And we got Irene popping in here. So hello, Irene. So we may give it just a few minutes for notifications. And if there's other shows, people might pop in and out as we go along. I'm drive lurking for a bit while you just stay focused on your driving, and we'll get to you when you arrive at your destination, which, what a great way, quick segue, something that I learned about Georgia last night on one of the newer documentaries that are now on YouTube, is that when Georgia moved to New Mexico, that's when she got her license, she learned to drive, and she bought herself her own Ford. And I'm like, I'm a Ford girl too. We're a Ford family. And you know what she named her car? She named her car Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So
that she was a speed demon.
Yes, and she would often do 80 to 90 miles an hour. And if you were driving ahead of her, she didn't like being behind anybody. She had to pass that person and get in front of them. I mean, oh my goodness. So, Irene, that's awesome that you put I'm driving, because I just brought up that little fun fact, that we learned about Georgia. So it says that we have 4 that are watching and a few in chat. So just a real quick, Laurie found something very cool about Georgia, something that I had forgotten. So I'm just going to let her take it away with that. But really quick, I just wanted to do like a little brief. So Georgia O'Keeffe was born Georgia Toto, or Tato, Totto O'Keeffe. She was celebrated, of course, again for her large flowers, New York skyscrapers, and New Mexico landscapes, including bones, which I fell in love with that she did. I have bones and things of my own that I paint from time to time. She has been dubbed the mother of American modernism. Her 7 decades career blended abstract and representation, influenced by Arthur Wesley Dow. Married to photographer Alfred Stieglitz, she became a leading figure in shaping a distinctly American modernism, and her works remain icons of precision, form, and natural beauty, also referring to as biomorphic as well. Here, let's pop up there. So she was born November 15th, 1887, in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. And then she passed on March 8th, 1986, Santa Fe, New Mexico. She was 2 years shy of 100. So highly recommend Laurie and I hitting up those YouTube documentaries, because, for me being a lifelong, lover of Georgia O'Keeffe's work, I learned so much from a couple of newer documentaries that came up. And, I also recommend this book. Absolutely gorgeous book. George O'Keeffe Museum Collections. You get to see a lot of works that you typically don't get to see when it comes to Georgia. And with that, oh, just really quick, Jax is here. Thank you, Jax, putting up everybody's links. I appreciate you, girl. And Miss Nancy, Crohn's Intuition, she is here. Hannah! Hi, Hannah. Guten Abend, Hannah. She's in Germany. She's my friend in Germany. So it's good to see you. Oh, let me back up a little bit more. We have Carrie Ann, who is also across the pond from us. Hello, my dear. Oh, no worries. We're going to be, and just so people know, we're not doing personal readings today. What we're going to do. Actually, I'm going to let Laurie explain that, talk about that, because this was something that, she received a message through her guides as a suggestion for this show. And so there we go. Good and bent. So I am going to just give the floor over to Laurie. Did you want to explain how this all came about, the concept?
Well, it was a month or two ago, I think, that this came, and I have done one live with you before.
Mm-hmm.
Very nerve-wracking for me as a first, but
oh, me and Jonathan, yes.
With Jonathan, yes.
Yep.
So you made it very relaxing, very inviting. And that sort of, I guess, got the wheels turning. What else can we do? What else would be fun? And because YouTube for me is also about interaction and meeting new people, I'd like to see this happen more often, where artists get on and play at their work, whatever it is, whatever medium it is. Like, what medium have you chosen for today?
Oh, I'm going to be working with acrylics. I went ahead and bought, I charged a new collection of the natural earth paints that I talk about. That's a company here in Ashland. They're plant-based, light fast, archival, eco-friendly, water-resistant, highly pigmented. It's a woman-owned company, and I absolutely love their products. So I bought their fluid set. So because Georgia liked to work in thin layers, especially when it came to blending, I was like, I've been wanting to do this for a while, so here was my opportunity. So acrylics.
Okay.
Yep.
And you and I already discussed the fact that it made you a little uncomfortable when you saw some of her work and you could see the canvas through it. But I found information suggesting that there was a certain group artistically, whether they were creators or painters, that they didn't like it when you put so much paint on that you couldn't see the canvas. They still wanted to see the weave of the canvas. So maybe that's why she was painting like, but as you say, maybe she was a little bit stingy with her paint too, because that came up in another section, and that blew my mind too. That she, when you go to the paint store and you get all those little color chips. Well, she had, I guess, her selection, her palette, and whether it was on wood or cardboard, I don't know. I'd love to see the selection, but she had all these little squares of colors that were at her disposal to paint with. And she would sit there and stare at that canvas because she said, I'm not going to start a painting till I know exactly how I'm going to do it and what colors are involved. So she is not like myself that can pick up several different brushfuls of something and see what happens on the canvas and let it develop. This girl had a system where she pulled out all these little color chips. And I guess had some assistance from some people mixing the paints here and there, especially near the end when she had that, I think it was her boyfriend. I mean, there was a huge age gap.
Yeah. Well, look at her and Stieglitz, and then Stieglitz with that other woman, but I digress right now about that.
And that goes back to what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So maybe she was getting some at the end from a very young, I don't know, but it was so sweet to see them. So anyway, he would help mix her paints, and that was fabulous. So it saved her some work. But she did come from a family of 7. And she said in that family, sometimes she felt a little bit ignored, but she didn't mind that because you could see that later on in life, that solitary that she loved.
Solitary.
Yeah. And that was really interesting to see that, that that little cottage that he had, that family cottage where everybody
Mhm.
retreated to, friends and everything else, she said she got to the point where she didn't
She
like being
couldn't do it
around
anymore.
them. So she took over a shed. I'm like, there's my girl. Make something
Little
happen.
shanty on Lake George.
Yeah,
And
so she
yeah.
took
Mhm.
that shed and she basically verbally said it's not open to anyone but myself, even Albert. You can't come in. We can talk about it later on, but this is my domain. And I think every artist
Mhm.
that you have to have a spot,
Just
you
for
know,
yourself.
just for yourself.
Yeah.
And we're not always looking over your shoulder. You can just paint whatever you want to paint and try any style you want. Because
Mhm.
you showed me some of her images in the book, and she has a variety of things that she.
Yes.
But the one thing that made me laugh too, because as an artist, I know what it's like to paint in a man's world. I'm not so concerned these days with exhibiting, but I have been there. And I
Mhm.
like when she was painting all these flowers and she was getting comments saying, yeah, Georgia, but they're too pretty and they're too colorful. Well, she liked color.
Yep.
Albert said,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
I remember the one comment. She goes, "I'm going to paint a dirty painting," and
yeah.
so I did dirty
And so
colors,
she did, and she didn't like the colors, but that was the colors that everybody
and it
was.
was bought just like that.
Yeah. So she sort of, thumbs up against him and it
Yeah.
gave her.
And they're thinking they got her way, but she got him back. It was her
Yeah.
own little,
So she had a
little snide. Yeah.
side, she didn't take any
Hmm.
crap.
Nope.
Yeah. So what else did I find out? Her mother was really great at promoting in the family violin lessons, art lessons, all kinds of
Hmm.
things she brought for them to experiment because she liked the arts. So that was really good to see.
Yes.
Um, at 15 years old, it mentioned in the video I was watching that they moved to Virginia. And in
Yeah,
19,
that was surprising to me. I didn't know that because the other documentaries said, Wisconsin, Lake George, and then she went out to, New Mexico. And when they said West Virginia, I was like, huh? So, yeah.
what else? Oh, in 1905, she graduated and she went to the Chicago Art Institute. You
Yep.
know, and out of, I got to think back when I took commercial art, we had 3 classes of about 30, and it was grueling. It was art and advertising, commercial art, and that was before. I got to say, everybody's going to laugh. That's before computers were hot. I mean, you had to
Yep.
do the lettering, and typesetting was with those little things that you put together reverse to make newspapers and
Yeah.
articles and things like that.
It
But
was intense. It was intensive. Yeah.
so out of 29 students in her art class, she rated number one.
Yeah.
And that's with the support too of the other classmates. So she was ending up getting studio space, I think, even on that campus, which was out of bounds to everyone else. And they said, she deserves it.
And
Like
being
that.
a woman too. I mean, this is still unheard of for a
Yeah.
woman to be allowed that kind of, oh, I can't think of the word, but that type of priority over
Hmm.
others, and yeah,
So
amazing.
then
Hey, Tom.
she worked in two-dimensional versus reality. She did some teaching at West Texas State College.
Mm-hmm.
And she did teach later. You and I were talking after.
Yeah, she took a few years off too between that and being sick, 4 years, and she enjoyed the teaching there. I remember that. Yeah.
But in the town, you say the name of the town again for me.
Oh, so this is in the Texas, but in New Mexico's Abiquiu.
Abigail. Okay. She really attached herself to a young boy called Jack, and she wanted to adopt him. And she taught him art. She took him everywhere. She took him to Santa Fe, and she went to the mother. And the brother was telling this in one of the documentaries 3 times, trying to adopt Jack. And even so that she felt she could get the influence to do this by using the minister, the priest or whatever in town at the church, and hauled the mother off and said, I want to adopt your kid. And that's when the brother telling the story related that Mom was saying basically, it's not a taco. You can't buy the kid. He's my kid. Go have your own kid.
Yeah. And that was one, I think that's one of the few arguments that she lost, because when she was determined, especially to get the house, she fought the Catholic Church for a while to get it. So she loved a challenge, but that one, no, she didn't win that one. Mm-hmm.
But I have yet to research her estate that was over 70 million when she died.
70 million.
To find out if Jack got anything. If Jack had been adopted by her, he would have been one rich little boy. Because even when it came to scattering the ashes at the end of Albert, he had family, he had kids, but she scattered the ashes and she didn't tell any of the family members.
No. She scattered Alfred's ashes at Lake George on their property. But again, like you said, never told anyone. And at the funeral, they said she did not cry. She was very stoic, whereas, the mistress was all kind of like bawling and in tears and stuff. But she kept her composure and just went about doing what she needed to do. I think they said it took a good 3 years for her to completely settle his estate, his photographs and everything, before she was okay, goodbye New York, and she fully moved to New Mexico. So
she had
3 years. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but in that time, she had a girlfriend looking after that new estate that she bought from the church that she tried for 10 years to finally got. Yep. And that girlfriend oversaw the development of that property. And as we were discussing, it was 7,000 square feet, that house, that adobe.
Oof, what I would do with that. Oh my God.
She loved open concept, and I think you can go visit this house now. The museum is down the road, but her house was, I think, willed to the community. And everything is set as the way that they knew Georgia had it. I mean, the girl had style. She was in that being documentary, and the furniture, the lighting, everything fabulous.
Yeah.
But what
she was a minimalist too, in many ways. Yeah. She liked clean, straight. I mean, you look at pictures and you can see, even when she was alive, everything had a place, and she didn't like clutter. When she was done painting, everything had to go back into its place, and before she would even leave her studio. So something I need to learn. I think,
I don't do that until I'm finished the painting. Then I clean up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, it's like I can't find enough table space for all the projects that I get involved in too.
Yeah.
I use every room in our house, and I still need more.
Carrie Ann, it says right there under the screen, sweetheart. We've been talking about Georgia O'Keeffe. So
the other thing was the Pamela.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
Interested in that, and I just discovered that today. I was checking out Albert, and it said information about that New York studio, I think, at 291.
291.
And apparently, in January of 1907, Pamela Coleman Smith had a show in his gallery with 72 pictures. Like, she approached him. She said she wanted to do this. But her drawings in watercolors, I would say that they were, from what she described, channeled. She said, listen to music, Pamela, and she just let the images flow. So it might be, there was all kinds of possibilities. Oh yeah, they called it painting automatically without consciousness. We get into those zones sometimes for painting. So she didn't really want to control it. She listened to the music. Some of the paintings that were shown in that exhibit were goddesses, zodiac symbols, lovers, heroes, nature prints. And at the time, that was seen as very avant-garde. So,
because spiritualism hadn't quite taken, it was still all, coming about. And so I think that was, and I told Laurie, I completely forgot about that, because when Julie and I did our show with Pixie, I had said, did you know that Alfred Stieglitz showed her work? We didn't get into detail, but I just did not realize, and it left me until Laurie brought it up, and I was like, oh my God, you got to share that with everybody. So
But wouldn't it be nice to have that book, because he, as
Mm,
a curator, photographed her artwork and made some prints of it in a book.
yeah, that's amazing.
But it's a wonder she didn't wasn't as a success as Georgia was.
You know, but
So the
you know,
self on.
yeah. But they both hold a very prominent place, though, in history for women in different you know, not everybody, you know, appreciates the metaphysical and the spiritual. So, but for our community, our peeps, for our woo woo tribe, that's amazing to have, you know, a woman, especially too at that time. And it's sad too because she still died penniless, almost, pretty much. Well, pretty much Pixie did. And so all that work that, you know, Alfred did, um, if, you know, with the book or whatever, she must not have seen much of that. I don't know.
I don't know. It didn't talk about that. Just that he saw it as a good enterprise to make money from.
Yeah. But so yeah. Was there anything else you want to share? Because I love her quotes. I've got a bunch of them here
You go
that
ahead, quotes. You go ahead.
so some of George's quotes, and this may, you know, I'll be like, oh, I also remember. But that's how Heather's brain works. But some of George's quotes I could completely relate to. And my favorite is, and the one that everybody has really heard is, I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way. Things I had no words for. I love that because that basically, you know, how I like to paint. Um, and says here, she also said, I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, which you wouldn't think so. But like I said, I learned from that documentary, or when I watched, I didn't realize that she had gotten hit with oh, I can't think of the name of, but that at the disease, you know, a couple of those diseases at the time that she was able to bounce back from. And then, of course, another thing that when she was ill, she was considered almost kind of like a hypochondriac, they said in one of the documentaries. But a large part of that was Alfred.
Yeah.
He kept her in bed, kept telling her, "No, you're not well. Let me take care of you." And for a while there, it was kind of like a gaslighting situation. No, you're sick. You know, you can't take care of your, you know, let me. So there was quite a bit of, you know, I know he loved her, but there was quite a bit of that manipulation. And at one point, when she got better, she just said, no, enough was enough. She set boundaries for herself. And, you know, when they went to Lake George, she dreaded it. And she said, no, this is my shanty. This is where I'm going to paint. And I am not to be, you know, disturbed. So for me to read, and when she even had to be hospitalized too, because of the position that she was being put in between having to make the art something what I think maybe with his family, but with really with Dorothy, with the mistress and that whole situation that he was having. Now, I will say I saw two different documentaries. One that acknowledged that it was an open marriage, but he knew that it was supposed to be their marriage was supposed to come first. But then with this other one, it was like, no, this was not cool. This was not okay. So I'm not quite sure what the exact, you know, truth is right there. But for her to say, I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing a single thing I wanted to do. I mean, that's, you know, and what she went through, a lot of times people had no idea, you know, especially after one point with the nudes coming out and being exposed like that. Um, you know, she started dressing up more. She was all covered. Her portraits, as seen like in this picture, she was covered. Her hair was covered. Her head was covered. Very still stylish, but for the time, she wore the shoes. She wore the hats that men wore. She didn't care what people thought about that. And this was her style. She wanted to keep herself pretty much clothed after feeling so exposed of what, you know, with Alfred showing all of her photographs especially her nude photographs that she'd done with them. Um, and so, but I did hear later on that documentary, when she was around people that she felt safe with, that she loved, that she cared about, then you saw the colorful. They said she would sometimes wear layers of pink and blue and green. She would have her hair down. She would be laughing. She was a joker. She loved to make people laugh and kind of trick them. I mean, they said she could look very like, and then all of a sudden just break out and start laughing or smiling. Bye, Tom. Thanks for popping in for a bit. And so, but yeah, it was all about I think it was once that she got out of the psychiatric ward, saw what was going on, and she was like, no, I'm not going to play this game anymore, where she became extremely more independent. And she said, whether you succeed or not is irrelevant. There is no such thing. Making your unknown known is the important thing. And here too, talking about individuality, I know now that most people are so closely concerned with themselves that they are not aware of their own individuality. I can see myself, and it has helped me to say what I want to say in paint. I feel there is something unexplored about women that only a woman can explore. And two, talking about being an artist, someone had asked her about what's it like to be a female artist or a woman artist, and she had slightly made a comment that, and she answered, well, being an artist, she totally left out the gender. So she's saying, don't put me, don't have, you don't have to use my gender. I am an artist. I shouldn't be separated. It shouldn't be a matter if, so in that conversation, she was inserting again herself. And, when it comes to the labels, as why do I have to be, the woman artist? Why can't I just be like an artist? You don't go calling around, well, he's a male artist. No, he's an artist. So why do I? So yeah, she had spirit, she had sass, but she was also very refined. Um, yeah, but she was not going to be controlled anymore. And let's see. And when it comes to flowers, because I know I have a flower starting on mine, and I think you have a little bit of a flower there as well. She said, a flower is relatively small. Still, in a way, nobody sees a flower. So I said to myself, I'll paint it big. And that's one of the things too on her other videos. She said people walk by and they see pictures of flowers. Oh, that's pretty. And they walk on. But people don't take time to actually sit and take time to look at they just see, as a whole. They don't go in and examine, like the stamen, the petals, look within, touch, feel, become more immense. It's kind of like how we are nowadays. Something's more than a few seconds or so, we flip and script, same thing. Her paintings with her flowers was she wanted people to stop and go, oh, wow, I never saw that when I looked at a flower. So for her, that was very important. And I don't know how you feel, Laurie, and I'll give this over to you. But when it came to her art, especially too with her flowers, because of Stieglitz, kind of putting out there that she was very much a woman, again, in touch with her, because of her doing the nude photos. That was unheard of. That was scandal, back in the day. And so at that point, while he's building up her reputation and getting people to buy her art, at the same time, people started looking at her art and seeing, because I know Freud was very popular. Freud was all the craze back in that day. And so everything had to do with sex and mother and woman and everything. And so everyone kept writing about, all her paintings represent her erotic nature, her body, this and that. And she said that's them looking at my art. That's not what it was. She goes, it was them putting that on my art. But for me personally, though, I think she did do that. I think it was a representation. I mean, if you saw her shells, and this is, of course, YouTube entertainment purposes only. This is you just talking about basic body and organs, the female genitalia, her shells, the clitoris, everything. You can see these shapes and these forms, and whether she did it unconsciously, I don't know. But to me, I'm wondering if she was actually doing that to kind of maybe take her power back, because of what he did with the photographs and what people were saying. Even though she says this has nothing to do with me and all about you, this is her way of kind of maybe taking that back. Because when you look at these pictures, you can see that they are very well, very erotic. Some are very sensual. They're beautiful. But I'm curious to see what you think. Do you think she truly didn't mean for that to come through, or do you think that might have been part of her angle to kind of, take back the power and, be in control of her images and how she wanted her images to be seen?
Well, when you think of promotion and you have to, as an artist, it was fortunate in one respect that he did photograph her and bring her to the attention of people. To have that gallery setting where and with his photography, he could do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it couldn't be helped then. It was a progression because he sexualized her. She didn't like to be sexualized, but she said okay to those photographs, and they were very candid photographs.
Mm-hmm.
So she was being seen as a very sexual being. And it's hard, I think, to remove that from the work because the work often talks about us as people too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she had all the chances, unless she wanted to paint buildings, which she didn't want to do, because you can't really sexualize a building. A building's a building.
But she decided to do the buildings anyways because Alfred said, "Why do you want to do buildings? It's not a feminine subject. Other men are doing." And so she did a bunch of building paintings, and guess what? Every single one she said sold, and that shut him up really quick.
Because I didn't know she did so many skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can look at her paintings and I can see the sexuality coming through, but maybe that's what he saw too when he photographed her. He was so smitten by her and the power that she had, and she maybe hid it with all the black clothing and everything at the one point that she was doing to take back her power.
Yeah.
But she might have emitted that, and it came naturally through the artwork that she did. But everyone will approach a painting and see something different. It's like reading a teacup. I'm going to see one thing.
Or tarot cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But I was,
sorry.
did I mention this already? Because
no, you didn't. But I'm going to read Hannah really quick, and then you can share the deck. I just want. Hannah said, "These shapes and forms are divine. Female eroticism is sacred. We have to learn that again and unlearn the bullshit we were taught for thousands of years as women." Yes, I just wanted to share that so I didn't lose that in the chat. So there we go. So you can share the deck.
It is powerful. Her work is powerful, and it is sensual. And I find that when you work in pastel, which I'm working at in here, it too is a very sensual movement of the pigment. I don't often blend my work. It's done on sanded paper with grit. There's layers. You work from very hard to soft, and the soft goes on at the end like butter for highlights. But the painting that I have over here for inspiration that hubby found in his little stash, you can see the blending almost like a pastel. And it is soft and it is sensuous. And I think that's what I love about her work. Let it shine.
Yeah. And am I a fan of all the work that she's done? No, there's some I look at and go, no, but there are others that, especially ones that you don't rarely get to see. And it just, my mind just, it's sublime. And there was a time too where she enjoyed listening to classical music, and she would sometimes also have that synesthesia where she would be listening to her classical music and paint, what she was hearing. And she does have a painting called Green Music, blue and green or blue music. And it's like the waves, and that's something that she painted while listening to classic music. Because what would happen is, she would work in her studio all day by herself, and Stieglitz would go in his office or do what he was doing all day, and then they would meet together and then talk, at mealtime. So she was up at the crack of dawn, and usually by 5 o'clock she was done, made dinner, and then straight to bed. So she had a very set routine as well. But she did like to have a party, and she was, even though her friend Anita and the one woman that she went out. I think it was Paul Strand's wife that accompanied her and helped take care of her place for her while she was in New York. I know that they had parties. There was one by a local who would invite people over, like Gertrude Stein and a couple of other well-known writers and artists at that time. So she was sociable. It's just that, like the rest of us, when it came to art, we needed our solitude. She needed that peace of mind. So,
And
but yeah,
choose your own friends. It's like some marriages. You're with a certain person, and they have already certain friends. Well, they may not appeal to her at all. I loved when she said, I would get the parties ready, and I would make sure the tables were set and
yeah.
the food was there, and then she'd go off to the opera or somewhere else because she didn't want
Hmm.
to be around it.
For a while there in Lake George, she enjoyed, getting, in another video, she had said that, Mama, she would make sure that everything was set up because the Stieglitz family, as much as he was having this affair, they didn't like the first wife. She was just very, well, according to them, allegedly, she was very egotistical, very materialistic, very cold. And so with Georgia, she was completely different, and they loved that about her. But then she would kind of get caught in between family dramas or antics, and that's where she was just like, no. So she would enjoy getting the property set up with the planting and the flowers and everything, getting the house ready. But then when they came, she was like, that's when she needed to go and have her solitude. And in one of the documentaries, it's funny because she was saying this. She goes, "Can you imagine, a room full of people eating corn on the cob?" That's what she mentioned. And she was like, she just couldn't, she couldn't handle it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to share one of those,
But I
her
wonder at
stories.
the end of the day when he came and went to the shed and looked at her artwork and what he expressed then and how he could influence her by what he saw selling in the gallery or what other artists were doing.
Hmm.
Good for her to do big, big pictures because years ago women did tiny little watercolors and things and they had to be
Yeah.
contained. For her to open up and just let herself go and paint these wild, sensual pictures in
Hmm.
colors that she wanted to do. But then at the end of the day, what did she have to say about his photography? I'd like to know. How do you criticize or talk or put input into what he's
She
done?
did. I don't think she really did much. She let him do his thing, and she wanted to be let alone to do, hers. And there were times, and this is something I can understand and appreciate that Alfred did. She goes, there were people that would come to the gallery and want to buy her paintings, but Alfred would actually be willing to sell some of her paintings below cost because women or people with very little income would come in and fall in love. And he knew that if people were, they couldn't pay the full price, that he knew that if he sold that particular painting, they were going to cherish that. They loved it. They would be able to appreciate that. And so he would sometimes do that, sell her. And then if other people came in and he was like, nah, no, that's not for sale. Then eventually at one point she says, I would like to make my income this year.
Yeah.
Are you going to sell any of my work? And I also found out that if she found out that people who had purchased her painting, this is when she was still alive, if they no longer wanted it and they were going to sell it and it got back to her, she would turn around, buy back her own painting. And when they said she died, she had like over 40 paintings of hers that never sold or she bought back. So, and hello, Roman. Good to see. Oops. There we go. Just saying hi to Roman. So,
Hey, Roman. But it's a
and
little
Roman,
bit.
from what I hear, he's got walls in his place, like salon style of artwork, prints of all different artists. Roman, do you have any of Georgia hanging on your wall? Nancy has just gushed over. Roman took, a walk one time through his home or apartment, and he's got all these prints of all these different artworks, and from the different periods of time, and they're stacked on his wall, hung on his wall like a salon style from back in the day. And Nancy says it's absolutely beautiful. So, Roman, do you have any Georgia O'Keeffe? I'm wondering. So, and we are at 12:41. And was there anything else that you wanted to share about Georgia? And while Laurie's thinking about that, what Laurie and I are going to be doing for people coming in is that we're going to, do our paintings live like Jonathan and I do, but we're asking for interaction from chat. If anyone could think of a certain color, or if there's a certain word or something that maybe we can incorporate into the painting that makes you think of O'Keeffe, anything, insights that you get, like prompts, like with poetry prompts, please feel free to put that into chat. I mean, I have a couple different color palettes that I'm going to be working with, I have in mind, but we love for you to, put out colors, feelings, words, whatever, you want to share, even if it's just to share. But if you want us to maybe try to express that in our work, please let us know, because this was,
Yeah.
the impetus of this show was to make it interactive with our.
Let's get to that. I'm going to move my stool so I can get to my picture.
And for me, I struggled a little bit because I was trying to hand draw. My eyes in hand drawing isn't what it used to be. So I got a little bit of a nice little floral abstraction because she liked working with flowers and dead bones. I did have some dried dead flowers from my neighbor that inspired a close-up shot of a flower inside. So that's what I'm going to be working on. And what do you have, Laurie?
Well, I had a busy little week because I was wanting to do pansies because I played with that in one of my videos in the last month, because I find the way that the colors out of the center, they too are very sensual. So I did some, when you were a kid and you took a leaf and you put it between wax paper and pressed it? I was doing that this week for fun. And hubby loves to find little butterflies and moths. So I've got that I've worked into here. So I've got some of the pansies in the center, and then over here is one butterfly, and I've got another butterfly wing over here, which you can't see. But I did have some fun because I thought it out basically Ghost Ranch from what I could see.
Here, I'm going to put you on the big screen so we can see that. But there we go. Now we can see that. Oh, so wow. Nice.
Really open, wild. And, when you looked out her picture window in the living room, there was a huge tree that she could see. So we found this on the property, and this is going to be my tree inspiration. Nice. So it goes this way and then that way because it was a massive tree in her picture window. So I've got that for inspiration and for darks and lights. And then I did some of this to try to play with window and the colors. I wanted the Adobe colors and some.
Oh, that's nice. Yes.
But it's difficult for me in that I'm not used to blending the way that she did. I know that her work was in oils a lot, but it's that sensuousness. So over in here, I'm trying to be like some of her work in that you got to put your fingers into it. You got to blend it. I mean, I don't have success using stumps. I use my
I don't like them. Mm-mm. For me, it pulls them up, and then they get so damaged so quickly that,
yes.
I don't like.
So I would suggest using a protective cream on your hands when you're using pastels. One of the sets that I have here is labeled as causing cancer when you use it,
Mm,
but you don't want to lick your hands. You don't want to eat around this stuff. And I usually keep a tray down below because when you start working with pastel, it gets kind of messy.
yeah, and you gotta watch how much you breathe it in too. Some
Yeah,
brands that are lesser quality, there's more dust. Some of the higher grade brands, not so much, but to make sure that you have good ventilation.
some people wear gloves. I don't. But so what I've got is the tree in the front, the adobe going here, and it's kind of flat. It's not three-dimensional because, we're trying to abstract a little bit.
Mhm.
And pushing myself to sort of let the color flow. So I'm bouncing around into different areas until I find what I want. I like the idea of the butterfly here that also takes
Mhm.
on then and resembles a little bit of a petal from a pansy.
That's what I thought it was when I first saw it from that far
Yeah.
back. I was like, oh, that looks like, like a leaf or an unfurling flower. So,
Yeah, so we can just play and then see if anybody wants to jump in and say, "Oh, I got an idea or a color or what have you." I don't know.
well, Irene says, I had never heard of her before now. I really like her Moonflower and Morning Glory paintings. And hi, Jackie. And Roman said that he does not have any Georgia O'Keeffe. Although
Yes,
I like her work.
you got to get some of that.
Oh, but I'm going to also something interesting I noticed. He mentioned Picasso. Now, this isn't the same artist, but I learned that one of the founding impressionists, Berthe Morisot, she had actually outsold artists like Matisse, Monet, even some Picasso back in her day. That bit of information doesn't get out into art history when they talk about, because they all talk about the famous male artists, but there were some women back in the day who did outsell the men.
Well,
And Jack, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that Georgia had one good year where she sold, I think it was 6 or 7 paintings and brought in $17,000 again for women.
Yes, for back then, 17 grand. That's like what, a hundred grand or something. I mean, it's just, and to be able to do this, especially after when the depression hit, she was living out in New Mexico when the um, the depression hit. So let me see if there was any recommendations. Some people here don't know who she is, but I think if you saw her pictures, you would be like, "Oh, I know who she is," because her work can be found in posters, on mugs, on totes. I mean, calendars. You go into a store like Barnes and Noble or something, you always see her yearly calendars that her estate puts out, and she is the only woman with her very own museum for her artwork. After she passed, well, it had been in the works. She did a wink, wink to somebody that was interviewing her, but she had already had it planned that once she passed, her work would be shown in her own museum. Others, of course, but so she does have her very own museum in. Oh, I don't know if it's Abiquiu. I want to say, I think it's in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, she wanted to. And Irene says, I don't care much for Picasso's, but Monets are nice. Yeah. I don't particularly like what I heard about Picasso, but I digress. We're here for Georgia. So for me, I'm just going to put me on the biggie a little bit. So the picture I kind of had this in mind. It's just a small little, so I couldn't find it in my book. But she has these irises where there's these beautiful purple grays, burgundy grays. I'm going to probably add a little bit more. There's a little bit of pink because I like actually a little extra color in mine. But that was where kind of like my inspiration. Oh, there we go. That's a better representation. There we go. So yeah, much better.
Yep.
So what I had done, I had taken some photographs and then blew them up. They're a little blur, even for an iPhone 15, but I was inspired by the abstraction, like O'Keeffe was. And so I tried drawing out some lines. And when I was getting kind of disappointed in how my line work was turning out, when I went to go, because I drew with a Faber-Castell aquarelle watercolor brush. And I went to go, just water it down and start over. But then I saw other lines forming in those lines. So I'm like, that got me excited. So yeah, that's what I am going to. Yes, says downtown Santa Fe for the O'Keeffe Museum. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see it.
Have you been there?
I've been to New Mexico. I trained a little bit with a fellow called Ben Conus, but he's passed now. He was a southwestern sort of painter in West.
Oh. So let's see. I am actually going to look for my Payne's Gray. Oh.
Yeah, I'm watercolor. So if anyone has any inspiration for words, we'll try to work them in somewhere. Have you ever done soft pastel, Heather?
Oh my goodness. Yes. When I moved here, I had to give all of them. I had the pan pastels. That was my love. And I was starting to play with some of the Sennelier, because Sennelier went down like butter. It was just absolutely beautiful. But I can't tell you how many colors of from the pan pastel. And then I was also, using pastel mat. I don't know if you ever use pastel mat, if you get that in Canada. It's a little more expensive, but the way they create it, you can put layer over layer over layer of pastel. You can even use color pencil, especially good with um, pastel pencil, because you can do the layers. But yeah, I've dabbled in pretty much everything. The only one I really didn't was the encaustic, because I tried playing with like melted candle wax years ago, and I didn't like how it really worked, or the smell. And I would go into a fellow artist's studio in Buffalo, and he would mix the wax encaustic with the oil paint, which looked cool, but the smell was just too much for me.
Yeah, I can't that smell. The only thing with soft pastel, it's got to be framed.
Yes. Anything, and what I was taught, anything that gets done on paper professionally, it's supposed to be framed behind glass.
And matting, because if you're not careful, static electricity will pull the pastel right off the paper.
Yeah. And I don't like those spray additives, fixatives, because it would always change the color of my my pastels.
And the spray flattens everything.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the best paper to do layers on, so I'm just jumping into the soft, because this is a Strathmore.
Ooh, I like Strathmore.
Strathmore neutral, but it's not going to accept a lot of color.
So one of the colors that I love from Natural Earth Paint here in Ashland is they have an ultramarine purple. And it's not an opaque color. It's kind of like an alizarin crimson. It's like a glazing color, and it glazes beautifully and mixes with other colors beautifully. So incorporate a little bit of that. And Jax, you have my text, my phone. If there's a comment that gets really important that you want me to turn around and look at, just give me a buzz and let me know.
why we can't have music. That's why I was suggesting one of your peeps that plays guitar or something in the background.
Yeah.
Music. Nice.
No, it was fun to get him on a Saturday night show with Tom talking about like, paranormal like stuff and experiences. But when it comes to my channel, this is my thing. I might see if he might be willing to play some guitar at my art opening next month. I'm hoping that's still, down in the books. I'll have to check with the store owner because I haven't heard anything in a while. But yeah,
Well, that's pretty exciting.
yeah, I haven't had one since 2018, so that'll be nice. Because after COVID hit, a lot of it was hard getting back into the swing of things, um, and it became where every time I would look for a call for work in Buffalo or in the Western New York area, um, with everything going on with our political climate and stuff, um, all the galleries were looking for works that represented socioeconomic inclusivity and everything. And it was just like, but for me, I just paint to paint, my colors, and I couldn't find, really any call for work that, I could submit my work to. And so I'm glad I just waited because now that I'm here,
Yeah.
and
Well,
things are starting to open up now. So, yeah.
I'm not close to any galleries.
Yes, you're out in the boonies. You're in your own little private Idaho, right? As they would say. You got your own beautiful wide open spaces.
Yeah, I'm getting bitten like crazy.
I was gonna say with the bugs.
Yeah, usually they land on me and they bite about 5 times, and I look terrible.
Yeah, that's the only thing about the country are like the flies and the mosquitoes and of course the ticks. But you see, in the Southwest, you really don't have to deal with any of that, which is nice, as much. So
Yeah, you get snakes though, don't you?
yeah, but I was lucky enough the 8 years I was there that I asked the snake spirit, please, how terrified I am, and I'm extremely terrified of snakes. And please give me enough notice if you know, one of you are in my proximity, or if you can disappear before I walk into an area. And they pretty much did it. I only saw two little tiny mini little green babies one day, and they were actually cute. I was able to walk up and just kind of look and say, you're beautiful. I respect you, but I have to keep going now. But Miss Taro D. Oh, I know it's Friday, sweetheart. I know it's your treatment day, but thank you for stopping by and sending some love. Um, do you like George O'Keeffe, Miss Taro D? We're all wishing you to feel better, my dear. And thank you, Jax, for putting Miss Taro D's link also into the chat. I couldn't figure out why this was bouncing back and forth because I forgot to drop. There we go. Whew, and I haven't worked on something this big in a while, and I've been playing with my oil pastels. It was so hard. I wanted to do my oil pastels because I did buy an EcoSolve, also from Natural Earth Paint, because all their things are non-toxic and they're all plant-based and everything. And I just found Stonehenge has something called oil paper. I don't know if you ever heard of that, Laurie. And you can actually oil paint oil pastels on them. And I was using the EcoSolve to dissolve some of the oil pastels to kind of paint with and do an underpainting with, and looked on the back, didn't run through, and I just love the texture of the paper and everything. So
It's
I
nice.
highly recommend.
It's nice when you find something you like.
Yes. That's me with paper and canvas and stuff. I'm always looking for the perfect surface to paint on.
Well, what I'm finding is because I was away from painting for 4 to 6 years because we were moving from the move and then moving here and everything needed to be fixed here, that I away from my art. It's nice to get back into it again.
Yeah. I don't think I could have gotten that long. I went uninspired. I didn't want to pick up anything for about 3 or 4 months, and then one day I came across an artist, and I was like, and then it was like for the next 2 weeks, I just couldn't put the palette knife down and other things. So,
Oh, palettes
um,
are fun, aren't they?
oh, I love palette knives.
Nice, thick, and goopy.
Oh, yeah. The texture. I've changed quite a bit lately. My painting style has changed because I've been looking at another artist. She calls her work open impressionism. Her name is Erin Hansen. She's popular here on the West Coast. She has a gallery in Laguna, and she actually has one here in Oregon in McMinnville. And her way she does her colors, her oils, and it's just like she already before she even paints, she knows where like the colors are going to go. So she enlarges her photographs that she takes of nature. She
Yeah.
does a sketch of it, and then she mixes every single color that she is going to use. And her board, her palette, this huge board, is just covered in every color. And she just grabs her brush. She doesn't mix on the canvas. She just grabs her brush and blah 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 blah. And it blows my mind how she paints like that. Because me, I like mixing on the canvas and stuff. But
Well, why is that blah, blah, blah?
oh, well, she just goes look, look, look. She doesn't mix. She just lays them down. Sometimes they might catch each other as she's putting them down, but she doesn't go into like mix and she just lays everything down. I mean, it's incredible how we're all different.
Oops. Last attack. Attackness. I find with the heat that we've been getting, the paper's warping a little bit since I put it up.
Yeah.
And I'm warped enough. I don't need the paper to warp.
Oh, that Laurie, she's so warped and tacky. I swear.
Oh. So I don't often try to emulate someone else's work, but this is fun. But I wish somebody would chime in with a word or some poetry or
Come on, people, don't be afraid.
step into the light. Never be like Georgia, fearless.
Be fearless. Come on, Jax. You do art also at home. Do you have a particular color you want us to try in both our paintings or in one of our paintings?
So you're doing your rose as a red?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Oh, she put the word bloom.
Bloom.
Well, mine's kind of blooming.
Bloom is good. I put my paintbrush in my flower pot so I wouldn't lose it.
Oh, how cute. Look at that pansy.
So that I could get some paint down and write a word. I was going to say that, being away from your art is not a good thing because your supplies tend to dry up.
Yeah. But sometimes we got to wait for that well to refill.
But it doesn't matter for me as long as it's creative. So designing a garden, putting flowers in, painting walls, it's all creativity. So as long as I'm occupied that way, I'm fine.
You know how I'm going to use your word, Jax? I'm going to incorporate it in the title of the painting. So I typically don't put words in my my artwork. So I'm like, how can I do that? How can I honor Jax's input? And I went, it'll be part of the title. And she also says she likes cerulean. And okay, where's all my X-File friends out there? Cerulean blue. The sky is cerulean blue.
Okay, does she have an idea where she wants to put it in my painting?
Jax, where would you like the word bloom in her painting? Or the cerulean, if you choose to use cerulean.
I want the word bloom.
She wants the word bloom, Jax.
Bloom.
And this is the one place where you can tell Laurie where to stick it.
That's right.
I have this kind of sense of humor, and so I try to be careful so that I don't offend my guests with my humor.
I'm going down here. I don't care. Now, I've got a really tiny brush here. I should go bigger.
I know for me it's hard to concentrate because I usually like heavy music and I step back and I talk to myself and I figure stuff out. So
Well,
I don't know how far I'm going to get.
You got to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
You work it out that.
That's how you get the best answer from yourself. So I have not tried their Venetian red yet. So let's see. Cavern. Let's see. She loved New Mexico. She told her sister it was the only place for her. Painted desert. Oh, wait, that's Arizona. Yeah, that's painted desert. She put the word cavern in there too. The word cavern came to her.
Ooh, maybe.
Ooh. Ooh.
How you doing over there, girlfriend?
Like I said, still the underpainting.
And like I say to people, sometimes the underpainting is the beauty.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to touch that now. But I got to keep working. And sometimes I'll do an underpainting. Shan walks in, goes, done. And I'm like, what? I go, no, that's the underpainting. So he cracks me up sometimes. But he's been, a part of supportive of my art ever since we met. I mean, we just started dating and it was like only 2 months. And he went and for my birthday bought me a set of the Winsor Newton oil sticks. He surprised me with a painting easel for Christmas. And I'm like, wait a minute, we just started going. And he's like, yeah, and so yeah, he's always been very supportive.
He knows what he likes.
Yeah.
Making you happy is part of it.
Okay, let's see. Jack said this is the state poem. I think you mean for New Mexico. Lift, New Mexico, your tired forehead that clouds the enchantment of your peaceful face, and joyfully receive the bright crown, symbol of glory, venture, and peace. So that's the state poem. I didn't know states had a poem. Very cool.
Very cool. Looking for my stick. I want my stick.
What's your stick today?
My mall stick.
I'm having a lot of fun. Thanks, Laurie, for doing this.
Well, we can't take ourselves too seriously. We have to be able to break out and experiment.
I think if we do this again, I might have to work on a smaller scale. I was originally going to, but then when we started talking about keep now seeing the pictures I was taking, I'm like, no, I need a big canvas for this. Oh, there is a wonderful, it takes a while to come across them, but there is a girl on Instagram. She's a photographer. She likes doing.
Oops. From San Antonio, Texas.
Oops. Okay. Whew. I didn't want to get in trouble with YouTube. She is a photographer that likes doing portraits, for women. And she has a history, women in history segment. Okay, shots fired, photo styling, and she starts talking. She shares. She starts talking. She doesn't tell you right away who it is, and then as she starts describing, then she'll go into it and say, "Well, this is who this was," and I recognized one. I'm like, oh, Rosa Bonheur, right? It's Rosa. And I was like, yes, I'm right. But yeah, I like how she shares things about, female artists that I didn't even know existed because female artists weren't allowed to, really have a voice. So.
Well, I have experienced that.
Yes, I know you told me that one day. Wow, the audacity.
So
But,
similar to Georgia.
Yeah.
You're trying to lock a woman into painting a certain thing and telling her she can't paint buildings because that's a male domain. Naughty, naughty, naughty.
And you can't paint in colors. She's like, well, I guess then I'll just have to paint a dirty painting.
Yeah, I wonder with all the criticism about nudity in tarot cards and that, if you did an exhibition today with pictures like they showed of Georgia completely naked, how would they be received?
Well, first of all, people will be like, oh, okay, seen that. I've been there, done that. You know what I mean? Kind of. It's, yeah, like back in the day when Madonna showed her belly button, that was all she was really showing at one point in one of it was a belly button, and people freaked out. And now it's like you turn on TV and you see everything. I mean, it's such a change in the times,
That was an interesting show that I caught the tail end of with you talking about pastors and things trying to shut down metaphysical stores.
Yeah, that was on the other night with Allison. Yeah, I think yeah. I can't remember who brought that up, but yeah, in Ohio, and PA, Selena was talking about that too. Yeah.
Where are we going to end up?
I don't know, Laurie. I mean, I don't know if Canada is that bad of a place right now like we are here. It's just it's like open season for pretty much everybody with these people. So
I think it was one artist that was discussing too the fact that China is going to continue to produce decks for us, but no nudes. A skeleton is okay.
oh, wow. Interesting. Yep, Pennsylvania has a law. And thanks, Jax. You found her Instagram. She's got a lot of videos. She's kind of somewhere in the middle where she started doing the women's, and then in the beginning she like sped it up and it was real fast, but finally she's slowing down. I'm like, thank goodness, because that was going a little too fast. But sometimes you just gotta try it a few times to find the perfect mix, the perfect blend. Wow. This is interesting.
Getting somewhere?
I've been using so many bright colors lately that these gray muted ones are just really, I'm finding interesting. You can feel the difference. For me, I can feel color. And so this is really kind of, and like I said in the beginning too, I've been wanting to do something to kind of honor also the Morgan for everything that she's helped me with. And over the last few months or so since I've been working with her. And these are kind of like her colors too, the dark colors, the red, the the dark purples. So yeah. And Jax, that's interesting that you put cavern in there because one of her sacred sites in Ireland, there it's a very, it's not a cavern, it's a cave, but kind of relatively the same thing. Owenagat, or known as the Cave of the Cats, and so it's interesting that you put cavern in there. Interesting. And we are at 1:15, so let me know how long you would like to go, because for right now, I still have the free, not the free, the paid subscription to StreamYard. So
I don't know how all that works yet. I got to figure all that shit out.
I'm going to have to cancel though next month and save myself some money because I don't do as many shows as I used to. So I'm going to have to pull back.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I was in an art store.
I was the other day. So they don't have any in the town that you go to?
They have a little bit for sale with a woman who's basically in the area for framing. But
Let's see.
I've got enough, and I've got to use them all up, because when I did that course years ago with Ben in Amarillo, Texas, I think we went. Beautiful paint set that he had us all order. He had an idea for a portable easel for you, and he sent all the dimensions, and my husband made it for me, and we fit it in our suitcase so that we could come down and paint.
Nice.
He wanted the Rembrandt. He suggested the 3 trays. Well, years ago, I don't know how many years, 30 years ago, that set cost me about $500. And some of them are drying out now, so I guess I could grind them and put them with medium.
Yeah.
They crumble sometimes when you pick them up and put them on the paper.
See what you can do. Jax has been sharing some stuff about. Here, let me take the cerulean blue down. So let's see. No money for fortune telling or divination. That's in Pennsylvania law. And about nudity on tarot cards. Well, I don't know about for China, but on my channel, as long as it's not like, how do I say this? Vulgar. Yeah. If it's not like, because some decks they have, couples, doing the bumping uglies. As I sometimes say, there can be some that are really extreme. And for me, I just like, well, if YouTube doesn't like it, it's a body part. So, I don't, I don't hide it. There's one deck I have, Fyodor Pavlov, where I'm careful with one of the cards, or maybe 2 of them, but otherwise than that, I don't monetize too. Let's see. So, or by anyone's age. Wait a minute, Jax, what's going on? According to state law from 1861, any person who shall pretend for gain or lucre by cards, tokens, the inspection of the head or hands of any person, or by anyone's age, or by consulting the movements of these heavenly bodies, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. And that is still active in the books in Pennsylvania. So wow. Fortune telling for money remains a criminal activity in this state. Wow. And Irene says, we still have old laws here. I lived in a town where Black people can't own property. Oh, good freaking Lord. In Pennsylvania, yep, the first offense shall be punished by not more than 2 years imprisonment, nor less than 15 days. And Irene says, my Black female lesbian lawyer owned most of it downtown. So there you go. I mean, gratuitous, yeah. So they're talking about the laws, but yeah, that's something else. You know, this day and age, and we're still dealing with this BS.
Yeah, when are you going to get rid of that? Who's causing
Mm,
all
the.
the one that we shall not name?
Yeah. Oh, honey, we're all waiting on bated breaths, a lot of us, for the morning or the day we hear. You know, that's one of the things. I was never raised to want to wish someone's demise or to have hate or something, but this has just been incredible here in our country. And yeah, it's, I don't know.
Well,
Some
that's what.
people, I was gonna say, some people in the spiritual community over the years have been saying that he came to Earth in this incarnation to do something that needed to be done to change evolution. And of course, I don't know. I don't know if I buy that, but
Well, I'm liking the bloom sort of being there but not there. I've put some pastel over top of it.
I'm going to put you on the biggie so we can see your bloom. Where's your bloom?
So it was in here, but now it's sort of almost part of the sky. So I like that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jax.
You go, girlfriend.
And Jax, you'll have to join us if Laurie and I do another one in the future. I know Jonathan says, I want to join you and Laurie. He goes, not that I'm pushing myself onto your channel. I'm like, no, Jonathan, we would love to have you if we do this again.
Yeah, we would. Can you imagine if we had about 5 or 10 screens on the go at once?
Oh, good Lord, girl, don't put me through that. I would have to I would have to probably make Jax one of those managing moderators where she would have control at the same time of
Yes.
putting up the comments and stuff.
Yeah, then each of the artists could relax and somebody moderates.
Yeah.
But I would have never thought of putting that word there, so I'm quite enjoying it. Why not? You know how I showed you I had my tray all nicely organized and labeled?
Yeah. What does it look like now?
Laurie's being very naughty and not putting her crayons back.
It's okay to be naughty.
I love the way on the Adobes when you see them, the way the shadows cast across the buildings.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Phenomenal.
Now, her Adobe series, especially with some of it with just a square in the middle of a Adobe wall, that did nothing for me. To me, that was too plain. It didn't. I know it spoke to her, but for me, I never resonated with that. But when she did her mountains and the colors and things, that I love. Yes.
Well, she did ask someone who was visiting her once what they thought of one of her paintings. And the lady laughed and was afraid to say it. And George is like, no, go ahead and say it. Because it was a picture, I guess, of a sunflower. And she said, it looks like a fried egg in the middle of a field. Apparently, Georgia didn't mind that at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, she did have a sense of humor. They said she could be good at kind of people think, uh-oh, I made her angry, and then she would just break out into laughter or to. Jack says about joining us, I don't know. My last painting was a cupcake flipping people off. Well, she mentioned Cupcake. Have you ever heard of an artist? I believe his first name is Wayne, but he goes by T-Bode. He used to make these thick, lush oil paintings, and his subject matter, he loved candy and cupcakes and, sweet foods. And they were pretty cool looking. So Jax, Cupcake, that could be an artist too we could look at.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean, just the surface looked so lush and gooey and yummy, and they were cupcakes and pies. I think pies, but it was just like a bakery, and you saw your sugary goodness or naughtiness, maybe, depending.
Why not? And I don't think people should be intimidated, you know?
No.
Like, how many people are watching this right now?
We said we have 7. So everybody who's still hanging out with us, thank you. And if you can please leave a comment after, or at least hit the like button, make sure to. Now, I did not realize that Laurie has 3 channels. So I didn't realize you had one solely on your artist. So I made sure I subscribed to that one. And then there's a garden Laurie. And then we have the tarot Laurie.
Well, the art one
Right?
came simply because Marilyn of Marilyn's Tarot Takes basically told me to get off my butt and start creating art.
Well, there you go. Sometimes we need that little nudge.
It was kind of a big nudge. But it was a good nudge. She was inquiring too about like, you can take me off the big screen. I want to see
Oh,
yours.
I didn't realize you were still. I'm sorry.
She wants to do something with a fan brush. She's got a little bit of a thing about using a fan brush. And I'm like, well, go for it. Pick your medium and try it out.
I always had issues with fan brushes. It was so hard to keep them clean too. They would get all, still. I would clean them, and I still end up times having problems with stuff. And then when you go to, there would be like mascara. You know how you would, and your lashes would sometimes clump over to one way, and so I was having that kind of issue with the fan brushes. But no, if you could really learn how to work a fan brush, they're beautiful. The effects you can get with them.
The thing is to play and experiment.
Yes.
I'm really having fun with pencil crayons lately.
Water soluble ones or permanent ones like the
But I'm just enjoying doing the layers of pencil crayons. It's relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Every now and then, when Shan is in the mood, he has a little coloring book with mandalas, and he'll sit there for about an hour and just. Sometimes it takes him 6 months to a year to finish one, but when he's in the mood and he's
Yeah.
not watching TV or playing guitar, he sits there and pulls out his coloring book, and I'll be like, oh my gosh. So I'll go in and grab one of my things, and I'll sit out in the living room with him while he's doing that. And so we're doing something that we both, can enjoy together, that we both like.
Well, I looked at one lady, and she was a pencil crayon artist, and she had labeled it adult coloring. And she put up a video about 5 months ago, and I think she had like 70,000 hits or something.
Wow.
I'm like, what?
I want my art to have 70,000 wows. That would be cool.
I think she also started it during COVID. So what a great thing to start to keep people occupied.
Yeah, that was what got me into trouble too, though. With all my art supplies, I would start watching, between tarot decks and art supplies. It was like every time I saw someone talk about a different set of color pencils, I had to buy the whole damn set. I mean, I had like 5 or 6 of them. Then I had the color inks. I mean, it was just, I had fun playing with them, but the money I spent. Yeah.
Yeah, I used
And then
to
having to leave all that behind too, when we moved here was heartbreaking.
Yeah, when we lived in Vancouver, there was Opus Art Supplies. And once a week, my husband was down there on business anyway, so I'd send him into the store to buy me stuff. And he'd sometimes pull over and he'd say, the list, and then he'd go into the store and he'd call me from the store and say, "Do you know that that painting tube is $28?" Yes. I can't finish my painting without it. So it'd be hundreds of dollars sometimes just in paint. But then when you try to sell it, they don't realize that.
Yep. Oh, I've had people comment about my artwork. Oh, I could go to Walmart and get something like that for cheaper. Or my jewelry, they would say that. And I'm like, "Grrr."
Yeah.
But I get it. Some of us have, limited income where we can't do that. But don't be, a douchebag, to put it mildly. I know people like saying don't be a Karen, but I feel bad for Karens because it's like, nah, but you don't have to be like that. You can just move on. And if you want to share your thought with your friend, share it where you can't be heard,
Yeah.
And Irene says cost is the main reason I haven't started painting. But you know what, Irene, if you got like a dollar store of some kind,
Yeah.
those paints really aren't bad. The acrylics that they sell, for $1 or $1.25, like they are here now in the States. It's not like the dollar store, it's like the $1.25 store or whatever. But you can get some basic stuff for fun. Cheap supplies aren't worth bothering with. Okay. Ooh, and Jack says, good Lord, I opened the back door for the dogs and got smacked like I opened the oven 100. It feels like, oof. Yeah. Oh, and Irene's. Go ahead.
85 today.
Yeah, that's going to be here too. Yeah.
A week and a half ago, we had frost.
Wow.
So my plants are struggling to survive.
They're supposed to hit the 90s, mid-90s this weekend. Ugh. And Irene says, I boycott dollar stores. Okay. Let's see. I never know where to start to paint unless it's on a wall or a trim. Yeah. I told Shannon to put the AC on, and I don't think he knows how to work that thing well because I'm still going.
I love all the sound effects.
Oh, for me, I'm sorry.
It's too bad you didn't live closer because I could paint with you all day.
I know, right?
I know.
I said the same thing with Jonathan's. Like, too bad we can't, we don't live. Could you imagine living in Hawaii and being able to paint in Hawaii? Oh, my God.
Imagine, but it's not going to happen because I'm a Canadian citizen.
Yeah.
But you know how the person that we can't name wants to own Canada?
Oh, my. Greenland, Canada. I mean, it's just, the dude's got dementia and shit's just going in the handbag really, really quick. But I just keep telling Shannon when people come on, it's just like we can't let that get to us. We got to stay, because then they win, and so we just take each day at a time, do the best we can with our families, with our loved ones, what we can do to help take care of each other in our communities. And, send energy and prayers in any way that we do it for things to improve and for people to make better decisions, better choices. And, but I tell Shan, I can't live in fear from day to day. I refuse to do it. That's why I don't read on politics on my channel. I try not to discuss it, but but I won't read on it. Not anymore. And you know what's weird about this painting, Laurie? My petals are starting to remind me of some of the mountains around here, and some of the petals are making me think of animal bones.
Well, it should. We're talking about Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah, I'm seeing like a bone right here. I can see the mountain right. This is the sky. Oh, this is going to be a very interesting painting. No Hobby Lobby. You know what? I know I hate Hobby Lobby, but when you are on Social Security disability and when you go to an art store, And a 24 by 30 canvas like this is $68 to $75, maybe a little more. And Hobby Lobby has the same thing for $19. I mean, I can't afford the art store. I just can't. These ones came from Walmart, which isn't too bad. I kind of like it. It's a thinner, it's not a gallery, but I may just, stick with Wally World for a while. But, financially, I mean, I don't buy anything else from them. But when it comes to canvas, that's the only place I can afford it. Even places like Blick and whatnot, it's still, 30 some dollars or more, than the 18.99 one. So
I
don't
find
be angry people at me for that.
if you put 2 or 3 layers of gesso on, that can help. But I have found some of the thinner ones do warp a little bit.
Yeah.
So if
that's
they
why
put in the corners, that would help.
that's why, the Hobby Lobby ones, even though they're 18.99, they are extremely well made, you know. And Pearl Paint, yeah, oh my God. At least I got to visit a Pearl Paint once in my early 20s, the one in New York. That was incredible. Have you ever heard of Pearl Paint, Lori?
I've heard of it.
It was like 5 stories on, at least the one in New York was, and each floor had to do with like canvas. Another floor was all about paint. The other one was like pastels and oil. I mean, it was just, oh my God. That's where I picked up my first oil pastel to play with, was when that was 92 and I was 21 years old, going on 22.
I got married at 21, I think. First time. First naughty.
Lottie B. Hi, Lottie B. Lottie B dropped a new video today. Go check out her beautiful piano playing. I haven't listened to it yet, but I will, Lottie. Lori, in case you don't know who Lottie B, Hugs from Spirit, she is an accomplished pianist, and she does these beautiful renditions of popular songs with her piano playing, and they're just absolutely beautiful.
Would she like to play for us one day as we paint? We gotta find Pete. Come on, we gotta find Pete.
Ooh, as long as it's not trademarked, published material.
Yeah.
It would have to be a Lottie B original. Think about it, Lottie. No pressure, but that was a great idea.
Oh, I'm full of it.
She's full of it. Let me tell you, she's full of them. I do not know what I'm doing. I'm just slapping. But I remember one of the documentaries on Georgia where she was writing to Anita Pulitzer. And now they said Georgia was not a feminist, which I was like, wow. But when she was friends with Anita in New York, and Anita was a part of the suffrage movement.
Yeah.
And Georgia would march occasionally with them, for women's right to vote.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool.
But in the documentary I watched yesterday, they said that she did not identify. Oh, and that was it. Gloria Steinem came to see her at her home.
Ooh.
And Georgia didn't know who she was, opened the door, and she's like, I came to, meet you, or I came to see you. And she says, there, you see me, goodbye, and closed the door on her. She had no idea who she was. But that was Georgia, Oh, and at one point too, she was getting and one of the reasons why she was doing that, because she was getting older. She did pretty much live alone too still at that one point, and she would get letters from people that were actually scaring her, kind of like the fan mail. Mm-hmm. So she had to really be careful. Hi, Jan. But yeah, I was like, wow, that I did not know.
So Jonathan hasn't popped in today?
No, I believe Jonathan is on vacation. They came to the States to I think he said they were going to LA to see family, his husband's family. So but Jonathan wants to join us. So we're going to have to do another one, Lori. I think whether you like it or not. I would like it.
I would love it. Did you look up Emily Carr?
I did, and I didn't resonate with her art, but I do like when women start getting, you know, notoriety. She reminded me a little bit when I was in college. I was part of the visual arts board, and we were a school, a SUNY funded school. Student group, and we would get money, and we would be able to take a trip at least once a year to a location. We would have to help with gas and and pay for our food and entrance to the museums or whatever. But our first time I was with them, our first trip was to New York, and then at one time we went to the AGO up in Toronto, and or in and around Toronto, the AGO, and they had an exhibition at that time called the Magnificent Seven or something. They were landscape painters.
Yeah.
And I had the book. I fell in love with the colors and everything. So she reminded me, was she a part of them? I can't remember. But the colors were just beautiful.
She did exhibit with 6 other male artists.
That might be who she was a part of. Okay.
And the only woman.
Why is it always, I just got a book finally. But before I left New York, there was this book on Joan Mitchell, abstract artist. She was the only woman, in the group with Pollock and with Gorky and all of them and Rothko back in the day. And even though there was also Lee Krasner and a couple of others, but Joan was just one of them as well. And I'm like, why does there have to be only one? Why can't there be more? But I just got her book on her art. It was $60. I wanted to get it before I left to bring it with us. And I said, no, I got to save that money. Went to go look at, and people don't get angry at me. I went to look at Amazon to see if it was still that much. I found it for half off.
Ooh.
And so yeah, I got it. So yeah, I like Joan Mitchell. Not so much the drips, but Irene says I love that place, the AGO. Let's see.
Didn't you work at Laurie?
At the Albright Knox in Buffalo. Yep, I was a security guard, and that was a cool job to have because I got to look at when I would do rounds, especially at night when I had to work the midnight shift, the group of 7. Thank you. I would, be able to pull out racks and look at paintings and stuff that other people couldn't. So that was pretty cool.
Now, the 7 was in Kleinburg, Ontario, which is where I used to live. And if there was a school trip, that's where they all descended at the art gallery showing the group of 7.
She was one of them. Okay. Wow. Thank you, Irene. Everyone's just throwing the facts out for us. They got our backs today, Laurie.
Well, when we're in art world, our brain isn't working that way.
Yeah. But I was always disappointed in the Albright with the painting they had of Monet's and with George's. We had one of George's black spots, which was okay. I would have liked one of her flowers or bones, but still was cool to. And then the one that we had, even back then, was starting to crack the surface. And the Monet was like a winter scene, so it lacked the color, and everything that Monet was for. It was just, kind of drab like mine right now.
I love the pink that you've got going around the top, that fleshy pink.
Yeah, I'm playing. I'm having fun. Okay, I'm getting beeped. Is that you, Jax? Are you beeping me? Oh no, my my neighbor. She'll have to wait. She probably
Now,
forgot I told her I was going to be painting today.
I think that's fabulous, and I'm loving that peach in there.
Yeah.
So
I'm,
putting that bloom in the title is going to be good too.
yes. I'm going to have to figure out how to play with Bloom or she used Cavern. We'll have to see how I could, because I'm not good with titles. I mean, the last series I did were based on songs that by Florence and the Machine that I just fell in love with, and I would name one of them after one of the songs. But when it comes to like titles for my work, you know, it's hard. It's like hard, like Georgia said, it's hard putting words. She does it by images, not words, you know. So I can totally get behind that.
Now, if you need to finish up, you better finish up.
Let's see, it's 1:45. We can go 15 more minutes. It'll be like a 2 hour. And then I will have to end the stream. As long as we don't cross the streams, bump, bump, bump. People, Ghostbusters, they'll know that reference. You can't cross the streams. I'm going to try a little magenta. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. There are the guys who are they are the guys responsible for the area I camp in becoming a protected provincial park. Many of their paintings are of where I go. It's gorgeous. Nice, Irene. Irene, where are you in Canada as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. Wow, still on. Yeah, well.
Tommy, how you doing, dude?
Now Tom is an amazing sculptor. I've seen some of his stuff when he starts, and then he gets angry and he goes, blah, and I'm like, no! But Tom is really a good sculptor, and Jonathan and I have been trying to get him to join us for a light painting session to work on some of his art and his sculptures. Ooh, magenta. Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh. Oh, now that looks like it's got that blood to it. It's like there's something emotional going on with that.
Ooh, it's a hot pink, let me tell you that. Woo!
Now, did you sketch anything out before you started?
Oh yeah, you saw the hotness that was on my canvas. I tried sketching out by hand, then I tried putting the grid on there, and then it was just one big mess. And then I realized that I was seeing other lines and shapes in there, and I'm just like, Heather, just let it do what it wants to do, you know? So let's see. Tom says, I'm not the only one that makes Heather stream for too long. Tom, that just came out sounding kind of weird. What do you think? Tom has had the knack lately of saying something in chat that could be totally misconstrued as something else. But he's like my little bro. I pick on him. I've known Tom, not person. We never met in person, but I've known Tom in the community for, oh my God, almost the full 5 years I've been on YouTube. So, yeah. See, everyone's laughing. What was the question, Heather? Was there a question? I don't know. See, I was distracted. I just saw a white great regret. I'm in the Irene, it was where are you in because Laurie's in Nova Scotia, so we were again wondering where you were in the beautiful country. I mean, Canada is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God, some of the images and pictures I see, just amazing. And Irene says she just saw a great egret.
Oh, well, I grew up born in BC. Then they moved to Ontario, to Toronto. And then further outside in the north of it, then I got married and moved to Winnipeg. spent some time in Montreal.
Wow. That's where my ancestors are from. Some of my ancestors are from Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember
I'm French Canadian, girl. I got French Canadian.
when I was 27 and pregnant, I went to a gallery in Montreal, and wintertime, and I was all bundled up, thought I was looking pretty good. And the guy said to me, "Shouldn't you be in school?"
Oh,
I said, "I haven't been in school in a long time."
wow. Jeez. She is in central Ontario. I'm an hour or so north of Toronto.
Okay. Well, I grew up in the Nobleton, Schomberg, King City area, which is close to Toronto.
I've only been to Canada a few times. The first time was when I was friends with this girl, Erica. Her family had money, and her mom would like to treat me, and we would go on trips. And one of our trips was to Toronto to see Cats. So I actually got to see a Broadway show on Cats. And then after that, we went to the CN Tower and rode up the CN Tower in the glass elevator. So if people are, go, ugh, don't think about that. It was scary, but it was cool at the same time. Then we went to this place called the Organ Grinder or something. We had dinner there. Oh, she also took me to the safari place, the Lion Safari that was in Toronto. So, and then the next time I went to Toronto, I think it was, we went with the school, with the college to the AGO. And then I took a bus. It was nosebleeds. And I had a fellow classmate come and pick me up after the concert. But I rode to Canada by myself on a Greyhound to go see Def Leppard at the Maple Leaf Gardens. I think it was called the Maple Leaf Gardens. And it was their Adrenalize tour. And I had the nosebleeds. But damn it, I got to go see my boys at the time. So. And the same night that the concert was, it took a while for Rick to find me. Actually, it was funny. My favorite, I went to see because I love Rick Allen. He's my favorite drummer. But my classmate who came to get me, his name was also Rick. And it took Rick forever to find me because it was that night that the Blue Jays won the title or whatever they do in baseball. So they had won, so yeah.
Cool. Well, I've had fun.
Me too. And I'm excited to look for. It's probably not going to look anything like what it does well because this is the underpainting. But I'm really excited. It's supposed to be really hot this weekend, so I'll probably stay more inside and do art than sit outside. Well, I have a shade spot underneath our neighbor's balcony. But no, this is going to be very interesting. Woohoo! So I'm going to put me on the biggie really quick.
The biggie.
So I know I'm actually going to put you on the biggie because you were right there. So she's on the biggie. So there's her Adobe. We got tree, flower, bloom. So what size is that you're working on?
What?
What's the size of that paper? Is that 18 by 24?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's big.
Yes, it is.
Hang on and I'll tell you.
Laurie is an amazing artist. If anyone has seen her videos on her watercolors that she's doing for her own Oracle deck.
Yeah, we're working on that. So it's 26 wide.
Oh.
20 and a half.
So 20 by 26. Wow. And that's inches, right? Not the centimeters that you guys go by?
Inches, old school.
Old school.
Because in BC, Canada, they like to do the metric, and that was right when I was graduating. It's like it never went into my head. I still do inches.
Cool. Makes it easier for me. Yeah, they actually did, Irene. It was, I think, 1993 or late 92. I can't remember what year it was that I saw the concert. But yeah, that's when Adrenalize, came out with Def Leppard. They just lost Steve Clark, and they were on tour with Vivian Campbell. So yeah, they won that night. The streets, people were yelling, toilet paper was being thrown around, and yeah. And Lottie says, great music and cats. It's been a long time, but I heard not to watch the movie. I heard the movie was horrible.
Oh.
So, alrighty. So for me, trying to get me to move over here. There we go. Like I said, for me, it's still lots of underpainting, but I was liking it.
You know it. When I'm looking at it from my viewpoint, it looks like a person laying down on their side. I can see eyes and I can see mouth.
Huh. That's cool, because there are things when Tom looks at my work too, and he says, oh, I just saw this, turn it over, like turn a different way. And then I can't see what he's seeing, but on one of my last oil pastels, I saw something different. I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep it vertical. So if Tom hadn't told me, what he saw and made me turn my picture around, I would never have seen something even cooler. So it's like, when people, say they see different things in our art, it's awesome. Sometimes
Are you gonna stick to the pastel colors? Or are you gonna go bold? What are you doing?
I don't know the colors. The paint's got to tell me what to do. But I am going to stick with some of the colors that I've been using and then kind of play with it and see where it goes. Because I got to have some color. I don't want to make a totally dirty picture. Right, Georgia? Right. Make a dirty picture. But yeah. And Lottie says, you two are so talented. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And Tom saw it at the Winter Garden Theaters where he saw cats. So, alrighty. Yeah, I don't know what you missed, Irene, but we're coming down to the end. So, Laurie, what you got coming up on your channel? Anything that you would like to share with everybody, myself included? Oracle paintings, maybe watercolors,
watercolors. Yeah, I'm on the 7th one in my Oracle. I got sidetracked. I'm like a squirrel.
I didn't know you even had that many. Wow.
Yeah, I want to do about 44.
Nice.
So I got that on the go. I've been doing those teacup readings for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I get quite a kick out of using my pencil crayons and heading to my sketchbook and recording it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having fun actually doing videos. I've done 2 now, where it's if you can't paint, cheat. And I'm showing people how to trace around their house, bring it to their journal, how to bring it to the page, design the page, and things like that. But I'd like to get people to experience the relaxation and the fun of a sketchbook. And it doesn't have to be going out and sketching what's out in nature.
Mm-hmm.
You can just play. So I'm doing those things. I got Elizabeth to do from the More Intuitive Me. I'm going to be doing
Elizabeth. Oh my God, I haven't talked to her in ages. I got to reach out to her, see how she's doing.
So I've got her to do a teacup reading for next. And I got to get back to that painting that I did with you the last time that started out as a she and became a he.
I know. I saw you. I was like, wait, what? Because you thought that was the Morgan actually coming through that painting.
Yeah. So I want to play around with the background and not be so timid and bring in some super duper colors to that and let my he, she have fun.
There you go. Awesome.
It scared my husband. He says, that's a very strong woman if that's a woman. Well, he says, I think it's a man. I said, it probably is a man.
Hey, balancing both, breeding, both aspects, both, both aspects. Yeah. So it's Friday till tomorrow. Oh, Jan, I got to make that. I gotta get a hold of Jan because Jan was supposed to. I can't believe how fast this freaking week went. I'm thinking, well, Saturday's in a couple days. I'm like, no, Heather, Saturday's tomorrow. So I have my Friday show. And I'm still hoping that Jan, if you're still in chat, if you're available, I got to make a thumbnail to include you. But yeah, I'll be doing my show tomorrow. I'm trying to stick to a little bit later because a lot of people are going on Fridays and Saturday evenings. So I try to stick around maybe 6 my time, 9 o'clock. Lori's already in bed, probably sleeping in. But I'm trying to find a nice little. There she is. So Jan, let me know if you still want to join me. Oh, you're available. Okay, I'll make the send me a picture, Jan. My email. It's in. I think it's in the description. If not, well, you know my email, Jan. We've been emailing each other. Good freaking Lord, Heather. This is what happens with the overactive brain trying to remember stuff and do stuff. So, but yeah. And Tom, really quick. I am not a musical person at all. Yes, you are. Oh, that type of. My mother was a worshiper of Andrew Lloyd Webber. It was my nightmare. Well, Tom makes music of his own and stuff. So, anywho,
Let's say, does anyone here want to see us explore another artist? What would be their choices if they can chime in and say?
Okay, chat. You decide who is our next artist. It could be male or female. Or it could be an art movement. We have Deborah Reitner. We have the Fauvists. We have the Impressionist, Post-Impressionist, like the one in New York. Why can I never remember? Pollock was like the head spear of that movement. Abstract Expressionism. So if there is a genre, we can look at that too. Oh, ding, ding, ding. Frida Kahlo. She had very bright color. Her artwork disturbed me. You could feel her pain and stuff and whatnot. It was hard for me, but she's got some self-portraits that the colors are just beautiful.
Now, portraiture for me would be a little bit tricky, but if I abstract it.
Yeah. I just learned about her, Leonora Carrington. I believe she was South American as well. I think I caught her on one of the Instagram videos that the girl did. So maybe we can look at both. Maybe one of us can choose Frida, one of us can choose Leonora, or we can look at both and incorporate different aspects. So
it's Leonora Carrington.
Leonora. And then Frida. Yeah, she's got some beautiful colors in her artwork.
I remember Frida from the movie Coco.
I didn't see Coco. I did see the one where that actress portrayed her, Selma Hayek. And she was quite the naughty girl back in the day. But what happened to her, and oh my God, it just, breaks my heart. I don't know how she would have. She's British born, but lived in Mexico.
So we're returning back. We went from New Mexico to Mexico.
Yeah. So we will look into those. We'll figure on a date. And as soon as Laurie and I have figured something out, I will let everybody know. So it's a plan. So, and maybe we can invite Jonathan because Jonathan wanted to come and join us. So maybe we can bring Jonathan into the mix.
I think he should be in the mix.
Yes. So I just adore Jonathan. He's one of my little YouTube besties, my little bros. Though I think Jonathan's older than me. No, he's not. I can't remember. Anywho, everybody, thank you for joining Laurie and I. Laurie, this was a blast. I love this immensely. And we will see everybody at the next show, or if we see each other passing in chat. So bye, everyone. And thank you, Georgia, for lending us your grace and your talent and your wit and her art. So Jonathan is ageless. He's immortal. He's a vampire. So, all right, everybody. Thank you again, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.